Hi and welcome back. We are going to talk about some stretches that are really helpful for low back pain. So generally, low back pain from a muscular perspective means that there's some imbalances. We have some tightnesses in some areas and some weaknesses in other areas, and we want to release some of that tightness so that it's not pulling on your low back anymore, at least so that we can get it to relax a little bit and support your posture. So we're going to come down to the mat. Use your hands to come down to your side first. And then once you're all the way down on your side, you can roll onto your back. So this first stretch is called a supine twist. And this is my all-time favorite stretch for low back, but basically my all-time favorite stretch overall. So what we're going to do is start with one leg straight. We're going to hug one knee up. So we want to make sure your hands are on your shins, or you can pull from behind your hamstrings if that's uncomfortable to put your hand on your shins. And then we're going to reach across with the opposite hand across the shins or across behind the hamstring and lay the other hand out on the floor. And then we're going to slowly roll that leg away. So from here, you might start to feel the stretch in your low back, and it's really important to try to get this foot to drop on the other side of your knee to really get that stretch. So as far as you can go with keeping your shoulder blades on the mat. So if you can tap your toe on the floor, great. If you can't, that's okay. Now, the exciting thing about this stretch for me is that you can change what you're going to stretch based on where your knee position is. So when it's right in line with your hip, kind of getting like right in the mid of the hip and the glute, if you pull up a little higher, you're going to feel the stretch more into the glutes, which can tend to be quite tight as well postpartum. And then if you slide your leg down a bit, you will feel this higher up into your low back. And keeping this palm anchored onto the floor, you'll also probably feel a bit of a stretch through the front of your chest, which is also very helpful. So as I've been stretching here, my foot now touches the ground. It's kind of released a bit, and I can lean more into it. And at any time, you can always roll back out of it, reset, and then go back in. So let's do the other side here. So we're going to start with hug the knee into the chest from the shin or from the hamstring. Reach across with the opposite hand. Palm goes on the floor, and then we're rolling sideways, letting this foot drop down to the floor. And then when the knee is in line with the hip, you're going to feel it kind of central in the glute, maybe slightly in the low back. If you pull it higher, you're definitely going to feel this in the glutes. And then when you slide it lower, you're going to feel this a little bit more into this low back. So I suggest you can hold these stretches for 15-20 seconds in each position, and then repeat more than once on each side. Like if you have time to do it twice in a row, go for it. Now the second one I want to show you is a glute stretch from seated. So from here, I'm going to turn a little bit sideways. We're going to put one ankle onto the knee and then lean back onto our palms. So from here, already I can feel my hip and my glute stretching, which is usually part of the problem, is tight glutes when you have low back pain. So from here, I'm going to start to try to push gently, just gently on the outside, or actively try to rotate my hip open to get that stretch. And then the more it releases, you can pull your heel closer to your bum and get more of a stretch from here. And then when you're done, slide that leg out, release, and then switch sides. And it's quite common to have one side that is tighter than the other side. So pulling that heel towards you. Now this is my left hip. It's definitely my tighter hip. And then slide it in a little bit more as it releases. And again, same thing, holding for 15 to 20 seconds. You can even go as long as 30 if that feels comfortable for you. and then slowly release it. The last one that I'd like to go over is child pose. So we're going to come down to the knees, hands and knees to start. Hands underneath the shoulders. Bring those knees wide, about the width of a mat, and tuck your toes together. So you want to be able to sink your hips back towards your heels. Now, if you cannot get your hips back to your heels all the way and they're sticking up a little bit, that's okay too. So we sink our hips backwards and then reach our arms forwards. And then really think about full back body breath, and then release and sink back into it. And another deep breath. And then exhale, sink back into it. One more. And then slowly push yourself back up. So those are 3 great options for stretches that can alleviate some low back pain.